This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening. I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. The Prime Minister clarifying an important issue that impacts licensees of the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Executives of the port are commending the Prime Minister for his intervention. Shashina Roll reports.
As of July 1st of this 2014, the importation of duty-free goods under the Hawksbill Creek Agreement are no longer subjected to the 1% processing fee. But since then, some reports have stated that certain export and other fees on such goods have not been removed as promised by the government. While on Grand Bahama, the Prime Minister noted that the government will honor its commitment to Grand Bahama.
And I indicated at the very outset that because of the major impact of the shipyard on employment in Grand Bahama, on the economy of Grand Bahama, that we, the Bahamian people, we, the government, ought clearly to know firsthand the extent to which it impacts the economy of Grand Bahama and, of course, the economy of the Bahamas.
On Friday, Christie ordered that the glitch be corrected by the end of the day. The Grand Bahama Port Authority, through a press release, welcomed the news from the Prime Minister. Vice Chairman Sarah St. George thanked the nation's chief for his government's continued commitment to the growth of Freeport and Grand Bahama.
Whatever the misunderstandings were, whatever the misinterpretations were, that they settle it today. And I've been in discussions with the Financial Secretary in New Providence to ensure that his meetings with the Controller of Customs and the Controller of Customs discussions with his subordinates in Grand Bahama end up with the point that I was met with this morning with respect to what cruise ships, the difficulties that they may be faced with are not implementing.
The Prime Minister ended on this note.
So when I take off from Grand Bahama, I'm taking off in the spirit that the memorandum of understanding that I agreed to, right, from the government's point of view, directions were given a long time ago to implement, and it's a question now of ensuring that the work that the Minister for Grand Bahama has done in talking to the Ministry of Finance on your behalf and on behalf of all other industries are complied with. And so I just wanted to report to the press's point of view that governments do not enter into understandings in a place like Grand Bahama where it does not have the intention to fulfill in every which way the understanding we arrived at. That was my word, and my word will be fulfilled.
Shashina Roll, ZNS Network News.
Executives at the Grand Bahama Port Authority announcing plans for value-added tax readiness training in the coming weeks. President Ian Roll says education and planning will be essential for a smooth as possible implementation process come January 1st. Roll notes that while there are still some concerns looming as to how VAT will be implemented in the city of Freeport, it does not change the fact that businesses need to be prepared. The training will span 4 days, October 14th through 17th, and it will cover aspects of VAT, registration, reporting, and compliance, as well as training of software application. Port officials say they have met with officials at the Ministry for Grand Bahama, and Minister Michael Darville has assured them that the government is carefully reviewing all concerns regarding VAT on services put forward by GBPA and its licensees. But President Roll says this initiative is to assist licensees in planning, organizing, and educating themselves and customers regarding VAT. He says with less than 15 weeks before the start of the new year, time is of the essence. In other news, the unprecedented tourism growth over in Bimini is welcomed news as the government moves to develop the family islands, and there is concern that the threat of crime could adversely impact those efforts. But tonight, Joan Davis-Roll tells us a plan of action is in place to promote safety for residents and visitors alike.
The country's crime-fighting machinery are part of the government's overall tourism thrust. A thrust that not only includes armed forces protecting our borders by air, land, and by sea, but the record number of tourists visiting our shores as well. The presence of the country's top cop, along with the Minister of National Security, on one of this country's fastest-growing tourist destinations, Bimini, according to the nation's leader, speaks volumes. In an interview with ZNS News, the National Security Minister, the Honorable Bernard Nottage, While on Bimini for the official commissioning of Resorts World Newport, weighed in on the significance of Bimini's overall development.
As you know, we have a population of about 3,000 people here. I think over the course of the next few months, more than a third of them will be employed just in this. That's the point number one. Point number two, opportunities are now being created for them to be able to develop their own businesses and provide services for the people who are going to be coming here. And I just hope they take advantage of it, because too often we want to be employed by other people.
With a record number of tourists laying low in Bimini, the lure of this tropical paradise could prove as a magnet for the criminal element as well. Minister Nottage says officers are not only ready but are challenged to remain vigilant. He underscored the vital role agencies under his charge must continue to play.
Safety is very important, otherwise people are not going to come. We have a good cadre of police officers here now. I had discussions with the commissioner and the assistant commissioner this morning about the strategies that they're using, and I'm satisfied that we're going to be able to keep this island safe. Minister
Nottage says they are committed to combating crime not only when it comes to the island of Bimini, but overall on many fronts.
The biggest problem in terms of is not so much the safety as security, to keep our borders secure, to deal with the illegal immigrants that are coming in, trafficking through our waters, both of human beings and of drugs and guns. And if you follow the news, you'll see that we're becoming much more active, particularly with tracing guns and tracing the human smuggling. And I'm satisfied that we have the right strategies for them to work and to keep us as safe as possible.
Joan Davis-Rowe, ZNS Network News.
A mother is taking the Ministry of Education to task, accusing the administration of a local school of violating her child's right to an education. The woman claims school officials refused to enroll her child into that public institution. Shashina Roll has the details.
My daughter is not accepted in this school.
Those are the words Carly Martin says she heard as her child was denied into Sister Mary Patricia Russell Junior High School last Monday. Martin says when she first visited the school, she spoke with one of the officials about her daughter's enrollment.
She told me what all I needed. So she said, first of all, you have to go and do your physical. I asked her if this was my district for my daughter. She said, no, you live in the Hawksville area, this is not your district. So I said, every morning I see a lot of 50 kids or more in that area. And she graduated A honor roll from Maurice Moore. That was the school where they sent her. They gave me application for. So when she said, don't worry about that, because I said, I can take her to Sajak then. She said, no, you can go and do the physical and come back to me.
She says for the next 2 days, she gathered 9 pieces of documentation, from her daughter's passport to national insurance card, and even the results of the child's physical examination.
It was raining and storming. I went and copied all my documents, came back to her. I gave it to the secretary. After 5 minutes, the secretary came out. She said, my daughter is not accepted in this school. I'm a Bahamian, and I want to know why.
She says she understands that the principal wanted even more documentation.
My mom died 27 years, and most of our bill, light and phone, is still under her name. My sister didn't have a bill in her name at my residence. Because of that, her son was denied by the same lady. Something has to be done.
Martin says she is frustrated that her daughter, who is a Bahamian, was denied entry into a public school. She says the situation became so overwhelming that it made both her and her daughter sick.
She cried, and I cried with Miss Edgecombe, and I said, I'm going to take it to a higher level. Something has to be done. I showed Miss Edgecombe everything I had. When I went to Mr. Jones at Sajak, I had everything, and he accepted me right away.
The child is now enrolled at Jack Hayward Junior High School. She says she was accepted with the same documents. Shashina Roll, ZNS Network News.
Now, ZNS News contacted Deputy Director of Education, Sandra Edgecombe, who declined to give an official comment on the matter. A mother's concerned about the impact of video games on young people. Well, we'll take a break and come right back.